Hi everybody, the day has arrived to start cutting our oats. So my Amish friend is here and we've got the grain binder and we are going to start cutting oats. First couple times around we had a little bit of troubles here and there, so here we are doing a little bit of fixing, but it got better as we went along. My Amish friend was very cautious about putting him on YouTube, and so he asked me to not show any pictures of him and to not have him do any talking and not even say his name. So I think for today we will call his name Pete. That is not his name, of course, and that's not even an Amish name. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to refer to him as Pete. This is an old McCormick Deering grain binder. And we did have some problems, like I said, and here we are stopped again. And I'm just standing close to the horses while Pete goes and cleans it out and gets the problem fixed. And then we start again. Here is the knotter. Every time that those three rods swing around like that, it has made another knot in the bundles, and it is kicking it off the grain binder onto a grain carrier. At the ends of the rows, we just go without cutting, and we're just going around right there because it's the end of the row, and we'll start back in again and start cutting grain again. Most of the time with these grain binders, you're hitched directly to the grain binder and you're sitting on the seat and driving it, so it's a one-person job. But under our circumstances, I asked Pete if I could just use my horses, so we have a drawbar hitched to this grain binder, and I'm using the Percherons right now, and so I'm just driving and Pete is in the back sitting on the seat and running the levers. This grain binder is very old. It was probably made back in 1920 to 1940, somewhere in there, so it could actually be 100 years old. It still works very good, and Pete is very good at maintaining it and fixing the problems as we have them as we go along. There are 3 canvases on this grain binder. One on the bottom, as you can see right there, that brings the oats to the 2 other ones that are together that brings them up into the binder. There's several levers on it that control a lot of different things, but as the grain goes up into the top, it will put into a bundle and then tied and then kicked off. Now normally the farmer would be driving the horses plus running all these levers, and normally he would have 4 horses instead of 2, so it was quite a handful to do everything at once. I'm glad that I'm just driving the horses now, and actually Pete was kind of glad too, because it made it a lot easier for him. He could just sit up there and enjoy the day and run the levers as needed, and he actually used his foot to run the bundle carrier, and that's what allowed the bundle carrier to release the bundles. He did that with his foot. There is a transport position that they put this binder in so they can bring it up the road, and so they actually towed it over from their farm to my farm with their horses, and then I put my horses on after that. And when he came with one of his boys, and he started stooking the oats up, and then later on 2 two more of his boys came over and helped do the stooking, and I'll explain that a little bit better later in the video.
Yeah, this is really quite a machine. People are going to be really interested in seeing this.
So as Pete is up on the seat operating the levers, he tries to drop the bundles so that they're lined up across the field, so it will make it easier when it comes time to pick them up when we have the thrasher here to carry the bundles to the thrasher. I thought it was very interesting. Half of this field is very weedy and the other half is not. And the field that is not weedy is what I had in corn last year. So that means all the cultivating that I did in the corn last year was able to get rid of a bunch of those weeds, and so I have less weeds there. So I asked Pete if these weeds are going to bother the thrasher, and he said no, because most of it is quackgrass, and they actually dry out really well. And so they go through the thrasher and they're not a problem. And that's the purpose of the thrasher, to take out the bad weed seeds and just have the good oats. And you'll see that when the thrasher comes. So these bundles of oats will stay in the field being stooked up like they will be for possibly up to 2 weeks. And that is so that everything will dry so that they will be harvested properly. All of this green grass that we're seeing will be dry, and the oats will dry down even farther, so that when they go through the thrasher, they will come out as good dry oats. At this point, the other two sons have showed up to help do the stooking, so Pete is carrying the water jug that's in his hand over to them. So this is a 7-foot grain binder, and it pulls fairly hard. The horses could have handled it, but they might have had to stop and rest more often, so I decided after we got about half it done that I'd swap pairs, and I brought my Belgians out then and decided to finish up the field with them. So here I have Lady and Bill, and we're continuing on with them. As I look across that field of oats, partially cut and partially on the ground, I think to myself, well, that's a tremendous amount of work to stook all those oats up. But them 3 Amish boys, they were stooking that grain up almost as fast as we were cutting it. I was quite impressed with their work ethic and the speed that they got that job done. After work, Abby stopped in and put the drone up. I never even knew that she was up there with it until I was all done, because there's too much noise on the grain binder to hear her. But she got some good drone coverage. Like I said, the Amish boys were stooking these oats up almost as fast as we were cutting it, but I did get done and was able to get out there before they had them quite all done, and I was able to stook up a few of them. The boys had to show me how to do it, but then I did do a couple of piles of oats.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6. That. Big one tap. Bend these back a little bit. Okay, there's another one there. We'll do one more.
Okay.
So I've got a few. Put them together. That one is tied, barely.
Yeah, that one's kind of loose.
So the way you're supposed to do it is put 3 bundles leaning against each other with air through the center, and then this is his top cap. This is the cap that we're putting on now.
One bundle left.
But I'm afraid I did a pretty poor job. You can tell the Amish boys made a lot better stooks than I did. I would say that's one nice looking job. Thanks, guys.
Well, it's been quite a day. We've got the oats all cut, and the boys got them all stooked up, and it is all ready and waiting for the thrasher, which they tell me could be as much as 2 weeks from now before they come to do that. These bundles have to dry out a lot more before they're ready to run through the thrasher. On this side of the field there was a lot of green, mostly cracked grass that's in here, and then on this side of the field it was really nice oats, so a little bit shorter, maybe not quite so heavy, but still very few weeds. So anyways, I'm very happy with what we got done today, and so I hope you have enjoyed this video. And if you haven't subscribed, if you like these videos, please subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll be notified when the next videos come on. And we are going to hopefully put out some more videos about the thrashing machine when that comes. So until then, have a great day.